There is something in your life right now that feels far too big. You've measured yourself against it, quietly, over and over, and every time the math comes out the same. It's bigger than you. Maybe it's a word a doctor said in a small cold room. Maybe it's a number at the bottom of a bill that keeps growing no matter what you do. Maybe it's a fear you've never said out loud, or a situation you've tried to beat and lost to so many times you've stopped counting. And tonight you're sitting with it, feeling the size of it pressed down, feeling how small you are next to it. Not weak, exactly. Just small. Outmatched. Like the thing in front of you is a mountain, and you are one tired person standing at the bottom, holding nothing. I know that feeling. I've sat right where you're sitting, on a couch like this one, with a giant standing in the middle of my life that I had no idea how to fight. And I want to tell you something tonight, but I don't want to just tell you. I want to take you somewhere. There's a story about a giant, a real one, and a boy who was smaller than you feel right now. It's one of the oldest stories we have, and I think we've been reading it wrong our whole lives. So come with me. Let me show you. There's a valley in the old country, a wide dry valley with a stream running through the middle of it. On one hillside stands the army of Israel. On the other stands the army of the Philistines. And for 40 days, nothing has happened. 40 days. Because every morning, and every evening, a man comes down from the Philistine side, and the whole valley goes quiet with fear. His name is Goliath. And he is enormous. He stands head and shoulders above the tallest man anyone has ever seen, wrapped in bronze that catches the sun, a spear like a weaver's beam in his hand. He walks out into the middle of the valley, and he shouts up at the soldiers of Israel. "Send me a man," he says. "Send me one man to fight me." And every single time, the men of Israel look at him, and they look at themselves, and they turn and run. Let me set you down at the edge of the Israelite camp, so you can feel what 40 days of this does to people. In the morning the men strap on their armor and line up along the ridge, and for a moment they look like an army. And then the giant walks out, and you can watch it drain out of them. Shoulders drop. Eyes go to the ground. Somebody near the back turns and walks away, and then another, and then the whole line just quietly comes apart. By evening they're sitting around their tents not talking, each man alone with the same thought. This can't be beaten. Not by me. Not by anyone. And the terrible thing is, they've been in this valley so long that the fear has started to feel like the truth. It has started to feel like just the way things are. That's what a giant does when you stare at it long enough. It stops looking like a problem and starts looking like a fact. Watch them. This is the part one want you to see. Watch how every soldier does the same thing. Each one looks up at the giant, and then looks down at his own two hands, his own height, his own strength. And he does the arithmetic. How big is Goliath, and how big am I? And the answer terrifies him every time, because the answer is always the same. He's bigger. He's stronger. I don't have what it takes. So the whole army stays frozen on the hillside, an entire nation held hostage, not by a battle, but by a comparison. They measured the giant against themselves, and they lost the fight before it ever started. 40 days of losing a fight nobody had even fought yet. Does that sound familiar to you? And then, one ordinary morning, a boy walks into the camp. He isn't a soldier. He's a shepherd, the youngest of 8 brothers, so young they left him home to watch the sheep. His name is David, and he's only there because his father sent him to bring bread and cheese to his older brothers on the front line. He's carrying groceries. That's all. And as he sets down the food, he hears the giant start to shout. He sees the same sight the whole army sees. But watch his face. Something is different. He isn't doing the same arithmetic they're doing. He turns to the soldiers around him and he asks, almost confused, "Who is this man that he would defy the armies of the living God?" And the soldiers try to explain the giant to him. They tell him how big Goliath is, how strong, how impossible. They're still measuring. But David isn't listening to the size. Because David is remembering something. He's remembering the quiet nights out in the fields with the sheep, when he was alone, and a lion came. And then, another time, a bear. And how each time, this ordinary boy with a sling and a staff went after it, and struck it down, and pulled the lamb out of its mouth. He didn't do that because he was strong enough. He knew he wasn't. He did it, and he lived, because God was with him. And now, standing in this valley, David says the thing that changes everything. "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." Do you hear the difference? The soldiers were asking, "How big is the giant compared to me?" David was asking, "How big is the giant compared to God?" Same giant. Same valley. Same bronze armor flashing in the same sun. But a completely different question, and so a completely different answer. They bring David to the king, and the king does what everyone does. He tries to make David bigger. He puts his own royal armor on him, a heavy bronze helmet, a coat of mail, a sword. Watch David try to walk in it. He can barely move. It's too big for him, it isn't his, and it was never going to be enough anyway, because the whole point is that the battle was never going to be won by being big enough. So David takes it off. All of it. He walks down to that stream in the middle of the valley, the one running between the two armies, and he bends down and picks up 5 smooth stones, and puts them in his shepherd's bag. And he takes his sling in his hand. And he starts walking toward the giant. A boy, in a tunic, with a slingshot, walking out into the open valley toward the thing the entire army was too afraid to face. And Goliath sees him coming, and he's insulted. He laughs. "Am I a dog, that you come at me with a stick?" He curses David by his gods. He promises to feed him to the birds. He is so much bigger. And here, in the last moment, David says the words I most want you to carry home tonight. He calls up at the giant, "You come to me with a sword and a spear and a javelin.